Finally, 2 transfers paying off for me. Kane and Fabianski. Ooh yeah.
Captain's Pick, the FPL Podcast.
Hello and welcome on board another short haul flight, episode 19 of Captain's Pick, the FPL Podcast. This is your captain and host speaking, Geoff at Willis, and each week I'll be taking flight to talk fantasy Premier League football. You can find the show on a whole host of podcast services, just search Captain's Pick. It's going to be another quick one today as the game weeks are coming thick and fast. So on today's show I'll be reviewing game week 15, talk transfers and my captain's pick, and I'll finish off by previewing game week 16. So as usual, I'll go through my team and let you know where the points came from and a little review of the fixtures. So in the Bournemouth-Huddersfield game, didn't have any players playing in this one. But was very interesting to see Fraser and Wilson both getting big hauls. They're both on my watch list. Probably going to stay away for now just because of the pretty bad run of fixtures they do have. But certainly keeping a close eye on them because at the moment they do seem to be fixture proof, as we saw in that 2-1 win for Bournemouth. Next up, Brighton winning 3-1 against Crystal Palace. Great result for Brighton here. And even getting a man sent off, still managed to win 3-1. Murray on the score sheet again, but does seem to have maybe picked up a shoulder injury, so one to watch. Zaha back with an assist. Still not many goals from him. And the ever-present and ever-reliable Crystal Palace defence, certainly at home, totally wilted in this game. Although Wan-Bissaka, still at his price, still seems a very good option. So certainly be looking to play him in home games if you have him. Then to West Ham, who beat Cardiff 3-1. This is where my game week really got underway, with a brilliant performance from Fabianski, who was one of my transfers this week. He came in and got me 9 points because of a penalty save. So a brilliant game for him. And it was nearly even a bigger haul. The fact that Cardiff, I think, scored in the 95th minute to deny him a clean sheet as well. So it would have gone up to about 13 points and even maybe a couple more bonus points. But can't complain too much. It was a good transfer to do, especially when Foster, I think, just got like a 1 or 2 points. So definitely up on the deal there with Fabianski. And a little unlucky for me, 2 weeks in a row now, goals in the 95th minute have denied me big points from this game and then the Everton game last week when Liverpool scored in the last minute. But happy with Fabianski going forward with the great fixtures West Ham do have, and hoping for lots more points coming from him. In that match also, didn't have much luck with Arnautovic, who gave away the penalty, got a yellow card, and then got injured. And it looks as though he's probably out until the new year now. Disappointing. He's not really had the kind of returns that I wanted since bringing him in. I think he's just brought me 1 assist in 4 games that I've had him. Was hoping obviously to keep him for longer for this good run of fixtures, but just can't have someone injured in my side like that, taking up too much money and a spot where I could get points from. So he is definitely getting cut. But it's a bit of a shame because I thought he'd probably do pretty well over the next few weeks if he wasn't injured. Next up was the City away game. So they beat Watford 2-1. Goals from Mahrez and Sane. Great performance from Mahrez in this game. Racked up the points. Aguero picked up that injury. So obviously didn't play in this game. And Sterling was benched also. I obviously did have Foster and then transferred him out, which is pretty decent because I only would have got 2 points from him. It looked like the right thing to do was to transfer out Aguero, and that obviously proved correct because he didn't play. And I'm just been hearing from Pep Guardiola conference today that Aguero is also out for the Chelsea match. So it definitely seems like the right decision to have transferred out Aguero. Good win for City. Got a little bit tricky there towards the end. Interesting to see Success play 74 minutes in that game. So he started. He picked me up 2 points because he came off my bench. So still pretty pleased to have him. Certainly when he's starting games, he's not bad first sub to have to come on. And then we go to the Wednesday night games. So the Liverpool game that they won 3-1 against Burnley. Salah rested, but did come on to get an assist late on in the game. So he got me 4 points. Nice to have that, although ultimately it might have done more damage because a lot of people had him as their vice-captain and a lot of people's captains didn't play. So that meant that a lot of people got away with that. But I'm happy to have the 4 points. Also in that game, Trent Alexander, he was rested, but Gomez got an injury about 20 minutes in. So TAA came on, didn't get the clean sheet, but got me 2 points anyways. And probably going forward now, with Gomez injured, I would have thought TAA is probably going to play the majority of games as the first choice right back now, I would say. So not too many points coming from that game for me. But the fact that Salah got rested should now mean that he plays the next game against Bournemouth. And he's certainly looking to be one of my captain's pick. And I'll go into that a little bit more later. In the Everton-Newcastle game, was hoping for good stuff from my 2 Everton players in this match. Richarlison duly delivered, got me a goal and 10 points, so really happy with him. And Dean just got the 2 points, couldn't get the clean sheet there. Interesting to see Rondon scored again, could be an option. Newcastle got pretty decent fixtures, but I'm pretty happy with my forward lineup at the moment, and happy with my Everton players. Fulham drawing 1-1 with Leicester. Maddison scored again 2 games in a row now. Seems a bit of a troll this season for me since I transferred him out a few weeks ago. Still don't think he's going to be consistent enough to be back in the team, but I'll keep an eye on it. And interesting to see that Mitrovic got an assist in that game. Seems to do well in the home games. Fulham have got a good, decent few home games coming up, so he may be on the watch list to have a look in those games if I pick up any injuries or there's any drop in form over the next couple of weeks. Wolves beating my team Chelsea 2-1. Was a little bit surprised here. Chelsea hadn't been playing too well, to be honest, but I still thought they'd get the result. They went 1-0 up. Hazard bringing me in an assist, so he ended up on 5 points. He could have had loads more points in this game. Chelsea should have probably had another penalty, and I'm sure he would have taken it, and he's a pretty decent penalty taker. So I would have thought that had been 2 penalties in the last 3 weeks. He also could have had a hatful of assists if only Chelsea had a top-class striker. That he, over the last few games, he would have definitely racked up some pretty decent hauls. And it's just unfortunate for me that the players around him, I don't think, are getting the best out of him. but happy to get those 5 points from him. And Alonso didn't play well at all. Again, 2 games in a row now. I think he's been pretty shocking. He's obviously the first class left back, but he's going through a bit of a bad time at the moment. Still pretty expensive, but he's just so dangerous to have in the team. Can't see him going anywhere for another few weeks yet, unless this form continues. But I'll keep a close eye on him. Also in that game, Jimenez got another goal. He's on my watch list, along with Mitrovic in that kind of price bracket of forwards. And Doherty got me an assist. So it's brilliant from him. It's a goal and assist in the last 2 games. So it was definitely worth keeping a hold of him and keeping patient. He's delivered me 7 points and 5 points in the last 2 game weeks. Then Man United Arsenal, saw a little bit of this game. Both teams very attacking, certainly Arsenal. Both looked slightly dodgy at the back, so I'm not sure I'll be considering any defensive options from these teams. But Lacazette and Aubameyang look very dangerous. And Lingard scored again. Lingard scored, but Martial scored again. Did pick up a little injury, so I'm not sure he's going to be available for the weekend, but certainly one to keep an eye on. But out of the 2 teams, I'd definitely be looking at Arsenal attacking threats, certainly with their good fixture run to come. And then the final game, Spurs winning 3-1. My other transfer of this game week, Harry Kane, who I brought in for Aguero, he delivered. He was my captain also, so he got me 24 points with a goal, an assist and all 3 bonus points. Couldn't be even happier. Brilliant to see him do that. Certainly after the Cardiff game earlier in the season where a lot of us captained him and he totally blanked. So he certainly did get back in the good books with that one, and that was what I was hoping really with that transfer. And obviously with Aguero out, it seemed like a no-brainer to me. So really happy with his points return. And so Robertson didn't play in that Liverpool game, so he dropped to my bench, and that's where success came on to get those 2 points. I would have thought Robertson would be back. I think he just had a little bit of fatigue and maybe a little niggle. But I expect him good chance to be back against Bournemouth, but certainly against Manchester United the week after. So that was my game week 15. Scored 63 points. Brilliant game week for me. The average was 45 points, so it's totally smashed that. Up to 873 points, and I rose about 60,000 places to 232,000. So really happy with that game week. Obviously the next one's coming very quick now. And I know I say this after every good game week, but if only I could get back-to-back good game weeks, then that would really put me in good stead in the overall rankings, and another good game week would definitely see me getting closer to that top 100k target for this season. Also in my 2 main family and friend mini leagues, I'm in second place in both. In one now I'm only a few points behind the leader, and in the other I'm about 30 points behind. So still probably my best start in terms of those mini leagues to a season. So can't complain there at all. Just need to keep up this good momentum from this game week. Okay, so looking now at game week 16. The deadline, by the way, is Saturday the 8th of December at 11:30 in the morning. I'll remind you again at the end of the pod. Now, my 2 transfers last week, my 2 free transfers worked perfectly with Fabianski and Kane bringing in 33 points between them. Perfect results. Probably been my best 2 transfers that I've done for a few seasons to get that kind of return. Really happy with that. Now, unfortunately, Arnautovic was injured. He'll be out for a while, so I'm definitely looking at transferring him out. And the other player who I was looking at was Hazard. He's got a home game to City. For his price point, he's not getting enough points. And unfortunately, the Chelsea strikers aren't helping, because he would have got loads of assists if they could finish better. And if you look at similar players in his price bracket, they've got better forwards playing with them, better players who can actually finish off a lot of his assists. So they're the two players I was looking at taking out. Obviously, I've only got one free transfer this week. And of course, this week there's been loads of price rises and price drops. Lots of my plans, I'm coming up with plans every single day because players are getting out of price or they're dropping in price. So I had to move early on my transfers. I actually did my transfers after the Wednesday night games. Out went Arnautovic, and in came Aubameyang, who was on my watch list for last week as well. He looked brilliant against Spurs, pretty decent against United. His fixtures are brilliant, him and Arsenal. They've got Huddersfield at home, Southampton away, Burnley at home, Brighton away in the next 4 games. There's a slight risk of him being rested, because I think he's played 4 90-minute back-to-back games. But with Arsenal in the Europa League already qualified mid next week, I would have thought he'd been rested then. So fingers crossed he'll play. But he's got the ability to come off the bench last 20 minutes, half an hour, and get good returns as well. Felt like I couldn't go into this game week without him. So he's come in for Arnautovic. Now, of course, I had to fund quite a bit of that money to get him in. So out has gone Eden Hazard. He's trolled me so many times over the last few seasons, and I wouldn't say he's been a complete troll for me this season, but he certainly flirted with it over the last 5 game weeks. Hasn't got the returns that I was hoping. And if you look at it, if I'd brought in Sterling instead of him in that wild card, I'd be about an extra 30, 40 points higher than I am now. So it was a little bit of a trolling. And no doubt the fact that I've taken him out now will probably go on a run, but I wouldn't have thought he'd done too great against City at least. So I always think once you've done a transfer, you don't want the player who you've transferred out to do great in the first game, and that you got rid of him, and at least it's Man City. Although I am a Chelsea supporter, so I don't care if he scores a hat-trick against City. It'd be great for the win, but I can't see that happening at all, unfortunately. That's going to be a very difficult game for Chelsea. So in came Felipe Anderson of West Ham. Had Arnautovic because I thought he was having a good season, and West Ham's fixtures are great for the next 7-8 game weeks. So still wanted some attacking threat from West Ham. Wasn't too sure about their sort of second backup strikers. Felipe Anderson seems to be the main man in midfield. Has had decent returns so far this season. Great set of fixtures coming up. So seemed like a bit of a no-brainer. Of course, I've had to take a -4 point hit, which I might have done last week, but I pushed it to this week. Pretty happy with those 4 transfers over 2 game weeks. We've only taken a -4 point hit. There was a lot of people who took points hits midweek, and there'll be a lot of people who take points hits this week as well. So I think that'll pretty much even out. So that's my 2 transfers. And my captain's pick at the moment for this game week is Salah. He was obviously rested during the week. Did come on and get an assist, but I can't imagine at all that he'll be rested 2 game weeks in a row. Especially because it looks like Mane's probably out as well. And Bournemouth have been decent this year, so they can't take them lightly, especially away from home. So I'll most likely be captaining him. He hasn't had a brace so far this season, and I can just see him picking up a brace or a hat-trick in this game. And that's why, at the moment, the captain's armband is on him. Other options for my captain's pick would be Kane. Obviously, did great in the last game week. Away at Leicester, a lot trickier. Leicester have been fairly decent this season. And with Barcelona on the horizon for Spurs, there's a chance. I doubt Kane will be rested, but he could get reduced minutes. I mean, so could Salah, but the fact that he's sort of had his bit of his rest already probably means he'll play more. But Kane does play most games and most minutes, so he could do well. He's got a good history against Leicester, but I'm just happy to have him in my team. And then Aubameyang, which before Salah was rested midweek, my plan was to captain Aubameyang at home to Huddersfield. It's a great fixture. He's currently my vice-captain. But because Salah was rested, I'm pretty sure that means that he'll start against Bournemouth. I think they'll put out a really strong side because they need to keep the pressure up on City. And that is a difficult game. And Bournemouth have been leaky at the back, but have been great going forward. So I can see quite a few goals coming in that game, and I think Salah will do well. But it's certainly probably between Salah and Aubameyang. There's a chance of Aubameyang being rested. So I think the captain's armband would probably go with Salah in this coming game week. So how my squad is shaping up is Fabianski in goal against Crystal Palace at home. Then currently I have Robertson and Alexander-Arnold, Bournemouth away for both of them. Could be a doubt on Robertson, but I do have Camarasa, who's my first sub, and Cardiff are playing Southampton at home. So that's a pretty decent player and fixture to have as my first sub, especially because Camarasa is taking all the set pieces. And Warnock said this week that Camarasa would be the first choice penalty taker as well. I'll be playing Alonso against Man City. I can't put him on my bench. He's too expensive to have on my bench. You never know in these big games what's going to happen. So he's got to play. I doubt he'll get a clean sheet. But you just got to go with him. Digne of Everton against Watford at home. Another great chance to get a clean sheet and attacking returns from him. Likewise with Doherty, who Wolves have got Newcastle away. Decent fixture for them. Can certainly see points coming from him again. As I mentioned, Salah, 3 in midfield. Salah captain away at Bournemouth. Then Richarlison, home to Watford. Hopefully he can keep his good form going. And my new signing, Felipe Anderson, who's got Crystal Palace at home. Palace coming off that dreadful game midweek, so West Ham doing well. Could be another great result for West Ham there. Harry Kane up front, Leicester away, and then Aubameyang, who has got Huddersfield at home. So that pretty much covers my squad. Some other notable games coming up in this game week 16. Man United at home to Fulham. Fulham have definitely turned a corner. They look a little bit more solid and have got a good goal threat in Mitrovic. Man United look all over the place but do score goals. That's a very tricky one to predict. Earlier in the season you would have loaded on Man United, but it's just not the case at the moment. Certainly be looking to see if Martial starts in that game. And so, that's pretty much my preview of game week 16, my transfers and my captain's pick. So I think that's when I'm going to land the show. A reminder that the game week 16 deadline is Saturday 11:30, so that's tomorrow 11:30 a.m. You can find me tweeting FPL Gold on the podcast Twitter account at Captain's Pick Pod. Feel free to send in any questions or topics you'd like discussed on the show. Thanks for listening to this in-flight podcast, and I've been your captain. Good luck with game week 16, and until next time, it's been my pleasure to talk with you.
Captain's Pick, the FPL Podcast.